Welcome back to the Gentleman's Garage, and this video will be our first garage tour update video of 2025. I say the first because 2025 is going to be a huge year for our collection. Not only do we have so many different events that we're going to be participating and attending to this year, but we have got more cars coming in this year than we ever have before. So today, we're going to give you an overall view of where our collection is, every car that's currently in the collection, and then we're going to talk to you about a lot of the events and all the cars that we have coming in to the Gentleman's Garage this year in 2025. Let's get started. Starting out, we have our 2011 599 GTO. One of my favorite things about this car is just how visceral it drives and handles in that glorious V12. A con of this car, I have no cons about this car. It does everything that you want a V12 Ferrari to do. It's visceral, it's raw, still handles great, tons of luggage space and compartments. It is a phenomenal car all the way around. Moving down the line, we've got our SVJ Roadster. This is the end of the line for the Aventador. It is one of my favorite cars. I've owned all 6 different variants of the Aventador. By far, it's my favorite variant. My only con of this car, because I love it with the top down. Once you take the tops, they go into the front bonnet, and you're left with no luggage space whatsoever. So, phenomenal car, just can't really weekend trip it. 296 GTS. One of the best Ferraris that Ferrari has come out with since the 458, no doubt. This car handles and drives great. My only con, I'm just still not down with hybrid V6s. Sorry. 2005 Ford GT, one of the greatest analog driving cars of all time. I put it right there in terms of analog experiences with a Carrera GT. If I were to say a con, which is the thing I love about this car, but a con that is just a reality, you really better be on your A game. You really better be an advanced driver if you're going to try to push this car at all. It is spiky. There are no nannies. It will bite you back, no doubt. Moving along, my very first exotic car I ever owned, bought it when I was 28 years old, Murcielago, 2005 Murcielago Roadster. Con, the E-gear still sucks. Let's just be honest. It's not great. Here we have our 1995 Ferrari Testarossa 512M, end of the line, last Testarossa that they ever made. It's also the end of the line of that flat V12, which makes this glorious sound. I love the way it delivers power. My only con of this car, I wish it had the pop-up headlights for sure. Moving on over, we got our 2024 Ferrari Pure Sangue V12, super cool. Don't even get me started on the cons. Here we have our 2024 Ferrari SF90 Spider. This car is phenomenal. It drives incredible. It is beyond fast. Please check out our video on this car where I did a review on it. My only con, at the end of the day, that V8 just does not sound near as good as the older V8s did from Ferrari. Lamborghini Countach. One of my favorite cars in the collection to own. If you guys are fans of the channel, you know how much of my life and my life success and my passion for cars and this entire car collection is all attributed back to the impression that the Countach made on me as a little boy. The cons, every con you've ever heard about this car is true and real, but that's also why I love it. I love the cons of this car. It is everything that it is, and I wouldn't have it any other way. 458 Speciale Aperta. I've said it many times, I'll say it again. This is the greatest modern Ferrari across any other models that they've made in the modern era. My only con, I wish I'd have bought a second one. I would love to have another one of these just to split the miles that I love to put on this car. And at the end of the day, they've all doubled in value. I love this car. It's by far the greatest Ferrari I've ever owned, for sure, except the F40. Second only to the F40. Moving on to our 2009 Ferrari 16M. This is basically the convertible version of the Scuderia. They only made 499 of these. Ferrari made it to celebrate their 16th Constructor Championship. The only con I can find of this car is I wish it was more widely known, much more like the 458 Speciale Aperta or some of the other limited edition cars that Flory's done. This car is not as well known as many of those other cars are because this car is definitely undervalued in the market, no doubt. 2004 Challenge Stradale. This is where Ferrari, for the first time, really started taking their road model cars and at the end of the production line doing a stripped down, more track focused version of it. This was the first of that, which gave birth to the 16M and the Speciale Aperta and the Pista Spider and so on. My only con of this car will always be the fact that it's just got that early era F1 transmission. It's not that great. Really wasn't that much better in the Enzo, but it is what it is. It is a gearbox that once it warms up, it is a lot of fun to drive. Moving over here, 1995 355 Spider. Absolutely love driving this car. Gated manual, flat plane crank V8. It's the best sounding Ferrari that we have in our collection, no doubt. My only con of this car is in this convertible version, which I love it being in a Spider conversion, there's nothing separating the back of the passengers' heads from that engine. So when you come to red lights, the heat just bellows onto the back of your neck off that engine, and it can be uncomfortable at times. Here we have my absolute beloved pride and joy. I still consider it the jewel of our collection. 1989, one of one blue F40. God, it's everything he ever wanted to be. If I'm going to pick out one con of this car, and it is truly terrifying, once you get over about 130 miles an hour, the car is so light to begin with that the front end starts to get real floaty and you're doing the best you can just to keep the car in the lane. But this car is visceral, it's raw, it has earned its legendary status as the Ferrari F40 in the Ferrari lineage, no doubt. Moving on, 2015 LaFerrari. Amazing car, amazing engine. It's everything our car dreams were built on. If I had one con, I wish I had the Aperta. Why? Because I want to hear more of that glorious V12 engine. Right here we have our 2001 Lamborghini Diablo 6.0. No doubt about it, the greatest version of the Diablos. This car does everything great. Gated manual V12 sounds amazing. My only con of this car is it has that early goofy suspension setup that you could adjust the suspension, and everybody knows the only way you don't break that suspension is don't use the adjustments on the suspension. So leave that thing alone, phenomenal car, but other than that, that suspension will bite you if you try to use it. Here we have our Lamborghini STO, end of the line version of the Lamborghini Huracan, one of my favorite Lamborghinis of all time. Best handling, best driving version of anything for sure. The only con of this car, this engine, that amazing natural aspirated V10 engine sounds so great. For whatever reason, in the STO version, the baffles don't open until you get about 4,700 RPM. So it's just super annoying. You can bet this week, we're actually taking it to the shop, I'm having those baffles locked open. So many times you guys have commented about the bikes. They've always kind of been in the background of our videos, and this, I have not had a chance to actually feature them or speak directly to any of the bikes on the videos, but here we go. Here is our 2019 Harley-Davidson Breakout. This bike's got a little bit of a custom paint job, some really cool touches on the wheels, amazing Vance & Hines exhaust, and of course you know that we did all the engine work, cams, high flow jet, the whole bit. Our 2019 Road Glide Harley-Davidson. This is actually one of the best riding motorcycles I've ever had in my life, and I've got my first motorcycle. I got my first dirt bike at 5 years old. I've had bikes my whole life, but this is a bike my wife and I can hop on. It looks great, sounds great, but rides like a Cadillac. Here we have our 2017 Harley-Davidson Street Glide. Again, really beautiful custom paint job. We chromed out the engine. One of my favorite features on the bike is the painters surprised me. They took the Rolls-Royce logo and they recreated that logo with my name and initials in it. That was a complete surprise when we took delivery of the bike. This bike sounds incredible. I love riding this bike. It's got a 30-inch front wheel, amazing, but you really got to know what you're doing when you're riding this bike. And with a wheel that big, you lose a lot of agility when riding. So you kind of got to keep a lot of space between you and other cars and whatnot on the road because you won't have quick time to react. Here we have the 2015 Bagger of the Year. This bike was incredible. I didn't own it when it won that award. I ended up finding the bike builder about 2 years after that and convincing him to sell me the bike. This is a complete custom build bike, again with 30-inch front wheel, this entire headlight. So much of this bike is all completely custom made. The engine was built by a company that builds engines for drag bikes. This engine was built from the ground up, and it's got a Pro Charger on it. It's actually, we dynoed this bike. It's getting 200 horsepower at the rear wheel. It's an absolutely insane bike to ride. One of my most prized possession bikes that I've ever owned in my life, for sure. And finally, I was in Las Vegas. We attended the Chris Angel show. Actually, phenomenal show if you've ever been there. Inside the lobby and waiting area and where they have everybody line up. He's got a huge display of a lot of custom choppers. I want a custom chopper. I got recommended to a local guy. I was told by a friend of a friend that could build me a great bike, yada, yada, yada. I wanted something, extreme and done to the highest levels. Went with a 30-inch front wheel, custom paint job. And this bike's a disaster. At the end of the day, the guy, I just don't really think, I think he was in over his head. The artist really didn't do the paint job the way we wanted it. It took him 2.5 years to do this bike, which is ridiculous. And when it's all said and done, he got the geometry wrong. The bike does not, it's on air ride, so it sits down on the ground. You can raise it up, but it doesn't come up high enough to give you enough turning radius. So the bike is basically unrideable. We're eventually just gonna drain the fluids out and use it for a display. Now, let's talk about some of the cars that are not currently in the garage, but are a part of the collection, and the cars that are coming to the garage for 2025. Okay, so let's talk about the cars that are in the collection but not here today. I don't believe ever once in my history of car collecting, where I've had a large number of cars, have I ever had all my cars at home all at once. That's just the way it goes. These cars always need something, whether it be service or maintenance, or in this case right now, as the filming of this video, next weekend is the Cavallino show, the largest Ferrari car show, and that's happening next week at the Breakers Hotel in Palm Beach, Florida. So at this moment, our Ferrari F50, which we road tripped to Palm Beach to the Breakers to get ready for the Cavallino show, it's there being prepped for the show. Our 1974 Dino GTS, which we have yet to feature on the channel. Why? It was in good shape, not great shape, and I started driving it like I do all my cars. All the little problems started popping up literally the first weekend that I owned the car. So I think that first weekend, that Monday, it immediately went in the shop and we just redid everything. All new suspension, engine, pulled the gearbox out, redid the entire gearbox, and then of course that leads to, well, now we got a mechanically perfect car, let's make it cosmetically perfect. So we refreshed the interior, the paint, and so on and so on. It's in such great condition now that it too is being shown at Cavallino this year. Very, very excited to be and to have both those cars in the show, and we're definitely going to be bringing you guys along for that experience as well. As you guys know, we race in the Ferrari Challenge Series, and if you followed along last season, you know that I actually have not one but two 488 Challenge Evo race cars. Why do I have two? Well, I have a tendency of pushing cars over the limit. I totaled one. We did keep the car. We're going to have it stripped down and we're going to make it a display piece here in the gentleman's garage. The other 488 Challenge Evo car that I bought to replace it and continue the season, my son, who just turned 18, has actually been testing in that car, and it looks like he's going to join me this coming race season in a couple of race events. So very excited not only to be sharing that passion with him, but also to bring you guys along, let you guys see father and son in a race setting. We are racing different classes. That's probably healthy for family matters at home, but I'm very proud and excited to see how he does this coming season. Not featured in the shop, just getting a little bit of maintenance work done, is my original 1994 Camaro Z28, and my wife just got the brand new Rolls-Royce Cullinan 2 Series. It's the updated version of the Rolls-Royce. We are absolutely loving that car. Cannot wait to bring you guys my review of that car. It is absolutely phenomenal. We used to have a black 1978 Trans Am. It was featured on that channel a couple of times. I've since sold it to a very close friend of mine. They've been wanting to buy it for a couple of years, but I do still have a 1979 red Pontiac Trans Am, which we've done nothing with. It's sitting in a shop. I got to decide, do I really want to take on the headache of completely restoring that car? Or maybe I pass it along to the next guy that might have more time on his hands. I've just got so many things going on with so many different cars. I don't know that I'm really ready to take on another full restoration project at this moment. Now, let's talk about the cars that are coming to the Gentleman's Garage for 2025. There's two categories here. There's cars that are definitely coming. We've got deposits down, we've got orders in, allocations have been accepted, and they are in production. And then there's a list of cars that who the hell knows what I'm gonna do. They may or may not make it to the garage this year. But as of right now, we have 8 confirmed really big cars coming to the Gentleman's Garage. Number 1, I hope you guys are familiar with Hennessy and the things they're doing. We have a Venom F5 Roadster with a manual gearbox coming to the Gentleman's Garage this year. It will be unveiled at Quail. Cannot wait to see that spec and see that car become a reality. 1,800 horsepower, manual gearbox, open top. That's a perfect recipe for a guy like me. Ferrari SF90XX. That's a limited edition version of the SF90. I've got a couple of buddies that have already gotten their cars in. We did an atelier version of it, so those cars get built at the end of the production run. So ours should be here in about another 3 months, but it will be here early this year. I'm hearing great reviews about that car from guys that own the base model, and now they're saying the XX is absolutely over the top. Very excited about that. We also have a Roma Spider. That's a car I really did not take too seriously. I happened to be at the dealership one day, took a demo in it. It's a twin turbo V8 drop top car. Really fun car to drive. My wife ended up doing a tremendous atelier custom spec on that car at the factory back in Italy, and that car is coming this year as well. We had the Dodici Cilindri Coupe and a Dodici Cilindri Spider on order. We are expecting the Coupe for sure in the next, I'd say 5-6 months. I don't know if the Spider is going to make it to delivery by the end of 2025. If not, it'll be very early 2026. But as of now, we have it late 2025 scheduled for delivery. Very excited about that. Number 6 of Ferrari's Halo or Big 6 supercars, the Ferrari F80. We have put our deposit down. We're waiting for our appointment to do a tailor-made custom spec on that car. As soon as Ferrari releases those dates, we'll be heading over to Italy to do that. But yes, we can confirm we have our deposit down for our allocation of the Ferrari F80. Revuelto, you may have noticed as I went through the collection, my favorite overall across any brand new production car is the Lamborghini Revuelto. Absolutely fantastic car. We just sold ours 2 weeks ago. We got the very first allocation that came into Texas. Love the car, absolutely loved it. They offered me a spot to do a custom spec on one. So in lieu of them giving me that spot, we traded ours back in and we took an allocation to do a custom spec on one. That is set for a July build, probably August, early September delivery of that car. Super excited to have that car in the collection. Getting back to racing, as I mentioned, my son's gonna be racing in my 488 Challenge Evo. The new 296 Challenge cars are out. Ours currently, as we're making this video, is on the boat being transported from Italy to the United States. It should be here in about 3 weeks. We'll be testing that car late February at Sonoma, and our very first race is early March at Sonoma. Super excited to kick off this next year's race series with the Ferrari Challenge Series and in the 296. The car has been performing phenomenal on the racetracks. Now, let's get into what just might come. The short list of of cars that we have on our list. As of this morning, I'm in conversations on a Lamborghini LP640 Roadster with a manual gearbox. Only, I think, 20 or 22 ever made. Really hope the owner does come through and decide to sell that car. Right now, they're saying that they are, but these cars carry a lot of strong emotion. I understand how minds can change, but as of right now, the seller has committed to selling it. We've committed to buying it. Hopefully that deal does go through. We are currently in negotiations for a 1971 Flory Daytona Spider. Only 122 cars were ever made. We will be in that car this weekend at Cavallino. I will be doing a review in that car. Who knows? I don't know where we're going to end up on the deal. We're close. I don't know. It's a lot of money for a car, for any car, period. And I got to decide, do I want to spend that amount of money on that car now versus some of the other cars that may make themselves come available to our collection. We got to get another Porsche Carrera GT in the garage. That is for sure. My eyes are always open when a Carrera GT comes up for sale or possibly for sale. My eyes are on every possible deal out there. We will eventually get one back in the garage. Will it be 2025? I don't know. It comes down to being the right timing for us with all the things that we have going on, and the right car and the right deal, and all those things have to happen for it to be the right deal and right purchase and the whole thing to happen. And last but not least, on the short list of potential cars to come to the Gentleman's Garage, a Pagani. I've got my eyes pretty darn hard on the Utopia. I love everything that they're doing about that car. I've yet to drive one, yet to really experience one in person, but who knows? At the end of the day, I personally am a very, very mercurial person. I got a huge personality, and even myself, when I wake up in the mornings, God only knows what I'm going to end up doing by the end of the day. So I too will probably end up surprising myself with what ends up in our garage by the end of 2025.